The new N-word. Wonder dragged me to the Human Rights Film Festival at Lincoln Center and made me watch a documentary called Impunity, which accurately accuses companies like Chiquita and other banana companies of funding the paramilitary who intimidated the unions, people, and small towns of Colombia. The paramilitary would, in turn, protect Chiquita and the like from the guerrilla forces who opposed what those companies stood for, which was the use of Colombia as both pantry and toilet. Universal facts. The sole purpose of a company is to generate profit for the people who run it. Universal question. If a company's profits lead to the suffering of a people, shouldn't altering practices, just a tad, to alleviate this be considered, instead of starting a whole war? Later that night at the bus stop across the street from Lincoln Center, Wonder playfully uses the word with me. Whoa there. I look to see if there's any black people around before explaining that there are people, the majority of them being black, and some that aren't, that have an unspoken voucher to use the N-word in public. Within the economic boundaries of New York City I grew up in, aka the Hood, it was a word everyone used, from black to Persian, all browns in between, on a regular basis. It seemed to be more about class than race. But when others use it, becomes a word that was used to remove the dignity and humanity of the person it's used against, and associated with identifying blacks as dark, dirty, evil, and dangerous. That's why I told her it wasn't too cool to say that in public. She got quiet and grew sad because she felt I scolded her, and now I felt guilty for making her upset, and the entire night was ruined. Fast forward to Colombia. We visit Chipaque, 20 minutes out of Bogota, and the hometown of her brother-in-law, J. Loco. We drop acid and drink a petaco, which is a container constituted of 30 beers. Later, I got on his motorcycle and he drove us home. Back at the house, the kids are asleep and J. Loco, an off-duty cop, fills his wife's glass with aguardiente, the national elixir, after topping off mine and Wonder's. He drinks from the bottle. And then, finally, after weeks of watching his sister-in-law and me smoke through our half-pound, he takes some pulls. He begins to tell us stories of growing up on the farm we just visited. They are filled with hunger, freezing nights, crime, hard work at a young age, abandonment, and miraculously, laughter. A life put together by the wages from a company that took your life and labor, but didn't even pay you enough blood money to get some electricity put in. Up in Wonder's room, we smoke at her large window. So large we have our own corners with our own joints, offering symmetry to the passing peeping toms and the bus routes that ran back and forth in front of her house. We both mused back on the bittersweet session with J. Loco. It was good to see him so stoned and content. Happy to visit his place of birth. Happy to be with us. But his stories were filled with the sadness of developing world routine that Wonder knew all too well, and I was now automatically connected to. Somewhere on the evolutionary scale, dignity and humanity became an option when dealing with people who have less. And whether it came to a company not paying its workers enough to live, or looking down on the person who gets you coffee, this trend is in no danger of stopping. Wonder and I think about this, but don't say a word. If we speak, we'd feel compelled to try to fix these problems. The codependence between the first and developing world, the rich and the poor, and the have and have-nots everywhere, is a disaster so big that talking about it can only make you feel useless. So I thought about one thing that could be done. Right then, I told her I was sorry for scolding her a couple of months back, and I realized there was a proper use for the N-word. Dark, dirty, evil, and dangerous didn't seem to describe any black or Hispanic person I knew. I told her the only I knew made more than 7 figures a year. Only I knew of benefited from destroying the planet and its people. There are plenty of around nowadays, and they should be exposed because of their lack of humanity and dignity. Remake the word. Aim it at the right people. Shoot. So, introducing White. You know, like Crystal Pepsi. And White doesn't just describe white people, just like Crystal Pepsi didn't automatically mean it was lemon flavored. Here are White's most popular examples. Invading a country which causes the death of thousands for a regional advantage, and so your friends can make billions in weapons and building contracts. White. Sweater vests. White. Destroying communities and nature for the development of centers of commerce. white. Recumbent bicycles, white. Koch brothers, white. Maybe if this catches on, we'll eventually drop the white part, so we don't need an extra word to separate the intention of the allegation and loosely protect the integrity of the accused. Sort of how, like, the term white collar baby-proofs the perception of corporate crime, when in reality it is what it is, a fucking crime. Well, I do believe we finally discovered a home for the N-word that about 99% of us could be happy with.